Hello, gamers, and welcome to Xbot and Pony. My name is Phil.
My name is Nick.
And every week we discuss the latest news in gaming, as well as just generally nerd out on whatever we feel like it when it comes to our favorite hobby, gaming. For our discussion segment today, we've decided to look into bad games that maybe just deserve a second chance. Games that we are objectively saying were not very good, but maybe we should remake them because there was a nugget of something good there. Nick, I asked you to put together 3 different games that you feel deserve a second chance. Why don't you share your first one with me?
Superman 64.
Oh, why would you do that? No, that just deserves to be in the bin. Drown it in a well. Absolutely not. That's unsavable.
Well, we could go with ET, but I mean...
All right, okay. White God, sell it to me. Why should Superman 64 have a remake?
Not traditionally 64 version, but a Superman game, a 3D Superman game like Batman, like Spider-Man. I mean, we're getting Avengers at the end of the year. That still not sold on that, to be honest. From what I've seen of it, looks a little lackluster in the visuals department, which is a bit strange. But just a dedicated Superman game would be amazing. I mean, he's the most overpowered character there is, really. Like, still making movies. It's pretty popular. And I think the amount of disappointment we all got with Superman 64, I mean, I was so excited. It still burns. I want a good Superman game.
God, man, I remember a beat-em-up Superman game. I think it was on the Mega Drive, where he couldn't really fly. Like, what's the point? But man, that Superman 64 game is painful. Like, there's no getting around it. It is just painful. Like, having to fly through those rings and having Lex Luthor taunt you. And I think it turns out, wasn't it like in some virtual reality thing? You weren't even going around Metropolis. Yeah. Okay. So modern Superman. So if we look at sort of games that have been quite similar, so Spider-Man recently, that feeling of flying through and soaring through the city, incredible. Absolutely incredible. So applying that to Superman, where you're soaring through the cities and dodging things and saving people down below, that could work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could have some sort of Metroid type thing to it where he loses some of his powers and he has to go gain them back somehow. Yeah, you can bring that into it somehow. So a little upgrade system. It'd be a lot of fun. A few cameos.
What if it was a PSVR exclusive?
Well, then that'd be like Spider-Man VR, and you just feel really, really icky and sick, wouldn't you? Flying around, using your laser eyes.
I can imagine it. You'd have to hold like the move controllers, and hold them out like this, and then you would go flying forward. Yeah, I mean, it would probably make you sick. That could be fun.
You lose your balance.
Yeah. It's interesting. I wonder if you would, because I think the helmet obviously picks up certain sounds as well, like the headset. So maybe you could actually like blow like that and sort of get the cold mist out. I don't know, something like that could be fun. You know what I'd be down for more though, if it was going to be a traditional third person perspective, a game for Superman. Make it based on Red Sun. Have you ever seen Red Sun or Red Sun?
Yeah, I watched that. They had an anime. I watched the anime. It was really good.
It was good. Yeah, it was really good. But I would love that to experience. It'll be a completely different way of looking at Superman and experiencing it as Russian Superman. I think it would be really, really cool. Yeah. I'd be down for that. Okay. All right. So, new Superman game deserves another look. Well, my one, Nick, and I think you're going to somewhat agree, but there's going to be also some rage in your face. Are you ready? My game that I feel deserves a remake, because it was bad, was... Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Angel of Darkness. Yes.
I have not finished that. I have still not finished that. I don't think I'll ever finish that. Yeah, talk about a series going up.
Yeah. So I didn't dislike the new urban setting of that game, right? Because it started out in Paris, and you're going up on the streets and the buildings, and she was a little bit darker, a little bit edgier, very much how it was around the 2000s. It wasn't how I preferred Tomb Raider, but I didn't dislike it either. I felt like it was an interesting thing to at least try out. And but the controls were so bad, so bad. And I just remember falling off buildings constantly and never being able to line them up. And I'm like, and I've got this memory as well of her just shooting past things. Like you would stop pushing forward and she'd keep going. Yeah. So the core idea of the game, I don't think I'd be anti playing again properly, in modern graphics and modern mechanics, but just improve the controls.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of a remaster, remake, and launch it back out. Maybe not call it the same thing. Maybe give it another name, because I think a few Tomb Raider fans have got a bad taste in their mouth from that. I agree. I would actually like to see that, to be honest.
We Angel of Darkness, We're Sorry edition.
We're Sorry edition. That'll work well.
I'd buy it. But yeah, it's Tomb Raider's kind of at this interesting point, right? Where at this crossroad, where I'm not really sure where it's going to go, because it's finished that trilogy.
That trilogy's done. She's technically the Tomb Raider now, isn't she?
She is. So
does she get her dual guns back now?
So revert back to some of the more traditional aspects of the games. Maybe. You never know. Do you think we'll get an announcement for next gen?
I think we will. Yeah, I think there'll be another Tomb Raider pop up pretty quickly.
I hope so. I get the impression they didn't sell exceptionally well, so there might be some reluctance to making another one.
If they did with the first one, they were really disappointed with what happened sales-wise, and then I think maybe they readjusted their expectations, because I know they said with the second one they were pretty happy. I haven't seen any info on the third one, so it will depend on how it's sold.
Just don't make it a Microsoft exclusive for a year.
We wouldn't have got that game if they didn't. They ran out of funding. Publisher pulled out, so it's one of those things. It's a bit like Bayonetta 2 that just wouldn't exist without Nintendo, or 3. Because nobody wanted to pay him to make it. So one of those weird things. It was weird how they handled that exclusivity as well. It went into Game Pass pretty quick, that third one too. Really quick.
Yeah, I've got a very many of that. Yeah,
4 or 5 months after it released. So that could be bad news as well. But maybe Game Pass helped it. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Here's hoping. I would love another one.
Yeah,
an Angel of Darkness remake. Give it another shot.
Give us a remake. My next one, a lot of people probably don't know this game. I've got it. I'll show you.
Geist. Now, I've only ever heard of it. I haven't played it. Educate me, sir.
First-person shooter, and you basically go to this thing where you can go outside your body and overtake other people's bodies. So you are literally a ghost. It's like a spiritual thing. So, for example, accessing a golden eye and all that, you got to go open a door that's got retinal scans. You'll go out of your body into a scientist's body, walk him over to the door, boom, done. Obviously, you needed powers to do it. You couldn't just overtake, some people. And then enemies towards the end of the levels and the part of the game, they had protective suits, so you couldn't get into their bodies, but you could literally take control of an enemy and just start shooting his mates. So the options and the puzzles and that were really cool. It just wasn't polished. It wasn't a polished game. The controls, again, were a bit iffy, and the voice acting, the budget was a bit low. So something like that, with being able to possess people and be able to take them, and it was really good. It was a really good concept.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because there was a rash of those sort of games at the time when there was like Second Sight and Psyops and all sorts of things. They were
good games.
Fun. They were great fun.
A lot of fun. This just went under the radar a little bit, I think. It's got a following, of course, like most of these type of games do, but it wasn't as polished as those other two you just mentioned either. So but I enjoyed it. I played it from start to finish twice.
Mm.
Played through it twice. So, especially on the GameCube, there's a lot of good games on the GameCube. So to get 2 playthroughs was a pretty good effort.
Okay, all right. Well, I've never heard of it myself, so let's give it a go. I'm happy to try that out. Yeah. My second one is kind of an expansion of something, but what I would love a new version of is, and I'm going to combine it, is a Back to the Future trilogy game. I would love this. These games on the Master System and Mega Drive were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. Like, the characters didn't even look like the characters. They were fighting bad guys that were just not from the movies. The music was terrible. It controlled terribly. Just no. Just no.
What used to happen back in those days is they'd have a game they were making, and then they'd pick up this license, and they just chuck the license on this game that had nothing to do with the movie license in the first place, and they might reskin it a little bit, and that's it. Perfect example is the Bayonetta. Have you ever played the Bayonetta 2D game that come out?
No.
No, sorry, not Bayonetta. Blood Rain 2D game.
Right. Blood of the Moon, or whatever it's called. Yeah.
It was actually a Castlevania game that got shelved.
Ah, okay. Oh, sorry, I got mixed up. Okay, yeah.
And they reskinned it to Blood Rain. Yeah, they reskinned it to Blood Rain. So it happens a lot.
It does. I remember hearing about a South Park game that was going to be for the Game Boy and ended up being reskinned as a Mary-Kate and Ashley game.
There you go. Wow.
South Park to Mary-Kate and Ashley. But Back to the Future is one of those series that I feel could work really well in a modern context. Now, Telltale did actually quite a decent game. I don't know if you played that one a few years ago. And they managed to get Christopher Lloyd back in, and they got this impersonator to do Michael J. Fox, who was amazing. Like, he sounded like the real deal.
Awesome.
But I would love an open world Back to the Future game where you get to play through all 3 movies, because you would have one city. So you could stay in Hill Valley the whole time. That's your open world. But in the first game, you get to experience it in the 80s and then go back to the 50s. And then you could go to the future and see how the city changes. You can go and explore. And then obviously go back to the Old West and see how it was in cowboy times. Like, I think that would be a really cool concept. Can you imagine? Because things like GTA, your city is kind of static, right? But can you imagine if you could explore it when it was the Vice City era or the 60s era or whatever? You know, like, how cool would that be if you could hop between them?
Cool. Yeah, that's a great concept. Yeah.
And maybe you could implement a little bit of like Ocarina of Time style changing, you know, where obviously if you're playing as Doc Brown, you might be able to play as the 1950s version or the 1980s version or the 1885 version, like all this sort of thing where you could actually change the character a little bit, and you would interact differently with the world because you've got a different amount of experience. So I think that could be a really cool idea. And just flying around in a DeLorean would be really cool.
That would just be cool. Yeah, that would just be cool. Yeah, I'd be down for that for sure, definitely.
Yeah. There you go. Back to the Future trilogy as one game, but open world. I'd be down for that.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
My last one, being a James Bond fan, was 007 Legends.
Oh, yeah. Such a disappointment.
Really bad. And it should never have been. I mean, there's some really good James Bond games released in the past besides GoldenEye and the 64. The third-person ones were really good. Being able to play parts of these amazing movies, it should have worked. It just really should have worked, and it didn't work at all. It looked like a real quick cash grab, and I'm assuming they probably did make a bit of money off it, but it was so bad. But yeah, bring back another 007 game, as we haven't had one in a long time.
We haven't, no. That's very true. So how would you fix it? What needs to be added to it to make it work?
I'd stick with the third person. It'd be difficult. It's a very difficult thing to do, obviously, because you've got to have different characters and all that. But you just make it different parts of the movie. So you'd have 3 levels per, say, actor, or 3 movies per actor, and just pick a really cool part of that and try bring it into one story for each actor. That's how I do it. I wouldn't just have it all jumbled and mixed and whatever. I'd pick one actor because you've got to pay them royalties anyway. So go with your Sean Connery, Roger Moore. We'll skip the other guys. Pierce
I was going to
Bronson.
say, as an Aussie, would you want George Lazenby in there?
George Lazenby deserves his own game. Okay, he deserves his own game, and he should be riding kangaroos and emus and stuff.
Yes,
awesome.
yes, please. That sounds amazing.
Awesome. But that's having a quick think about it. That's how I'd lay it out. Here's some of the best movies/games, and some of the best parts from them, and mix them into one kind of story with these villains, and just go from there. And separate stories in there. So again, like a trilogy, so to speak, but quadrilogy, different actors, different parts of the games. Even if it was like a Final Fantasy type thing where you released it in series as you go, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, and have the different actors that way, space it out. But definitely it would work. Just keep it third person, pick the best movies and the best parts of those movies to, pull the best villains and go from there and make it a nice, good action spy strategy type thing.
Don't let Activision make a Call of Duty version of it.
No, because then it'd be first-person shooter, possibly battle royale, and have lots of loot boxes and microtransactions.
Yeah, exactly. James Bond battle royale. Please no. Please don't do it. No. Right, my last one is because I thought, this is actually quite personal to you and I. It's something. It's what brought us together. I feel that Blue Stinger for the Dreamcast needs a remake. This game is bad. It's really bad. But I like the idea of it. You've got this island that you arrive on and you have no idea what's going on. And there's sort of this technology that looks really advanced. And there are these monsters going around and it seems abandoned. So you're like, how the heck did you get there? And I think we discussed this before. For some bizarre reason, there's Christmas music playing as well everywhere you go. And I love it. I love it. I mean, look at this hero. Who doesn't want to play as that guy?
Exactly.
Who doesn't want to play as him, And he, his sort of guy that he teams up with looks like, I don't know if you've ever seen Tintin, but you've got Captain Haddock, this guy with a big beard and sort of semi-pirate, and he just looks ridiculous. But I love it. I love it. It's objectively bad, but I love it. And I would want to see that again in proper graphics, proper controls, and with animations where the characters are not just going like this over and over again. It's on a loop. They go like this, and then periodically there'll be a hand that just kind of goes. So yeah, I don't know how many fans of Blue Stinger are out there. Actually, who made it? Oh no, you'll never believe who made this. Activision. No.
Send them a tweet.
Never mind. I cancelled it. Bad idea.
Did they make it or did they publish it?
Good question. It doesn't say. It does just say Activision.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah, just for me. I want that one. It's a bad game. I love it. I want it.
Well, any Blue Stinger fans out there, let's all,
just a little thing here. I once looked on Facebook for a Blue Stinger fan group. Do you want to know how many members were in it?
You told me this. I can't remember. How many?
6.
6. Well, there you go.
6 people. And they were passionate and they loved their game and they were my kind of people. But there was only 6 of them in the world.
I might go pop in there and share this video in there.
Yeah. All right. Give them a hands up. I give them a thumb.
Yep. There you go. Here's your Blue Stinger.
We love you guys. You're awesome. All right. Fight the good fight. Maybe we'll get a Blue Stinger 2 one day. That's your last one then, Nick. What you got for us?
That's it. I've done my 3.
Ah, okay. It's me who can't count. So there you go. 6 bad games that we feel just deserve a second look. Something that they were just maybe under the wrong developers or they didn't have the right technology, but there's a grain of potential there.
Definitely.
For our next topic, Nick, I'm going to take you all the way back to primary school. Now, one of my favorite things at primary school was show and tell. Did you ever do show and tell?
Yes.
What did you bring in? Can you remember?
My He-Man toys, my figurines, and my Matchbox cars.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute. Have you still got them?
Yes, some, not all. I did lose some. I think we took our dog in one day as well, Scooby.
Oh, cute. Love
Scooby.
it. Love it. Love it.
He was a big hit with the kids. The kids
I
loved that.
bet.
We were pretty happy with a dog in the classroom. Yeah.
Well, let's do the man-child version of show and tell. And I've asked you to bring in 2 things from your collection that you think are quite interesting and you want to talk about. I've got 2. You've got 2. Why don't you launch with one? Go for it.
I've chosen an Xbox One just to stick with our theme. Not too fancy, just a normal standard.
I was going to say, I'll be honest with you, man. That looks like some trashy swag that was given away with a pre-order. And I think maybe I can imagine that someone like the Duck Dynasty guys would wear that. I'm not sure it's something to be proud of.
Were given away as a pre-order, but when I was at JB Hi-Fi, we got to go to Melbourne and we did conferences and stuff like that. And you can see here, my gamer tag is etched into the side of the hat.
Ah, okay, that's nice. That is nice.
Nothing too fancy, but it's
show it to the camera again. All right, I'm guessing that wasn't for the general public.
So I was the games manager at JB Hi-Fi, so the hats did go to the general public. Mentioning JB Hi-Fi, my friend Luke wanted me to give him a shout out. So, hi Luke.
Sup, Luke?
Miss you, buddy. And I'll catch up with you soon. He's a PlayStation fan as well, so I guess he's itching for The Last of Us Part 2. And he'd be pretty keen for that. So yeah, there you go, Luke. Hope you're happy now, buddy. So we went to Melbourne and we got these hats. Everybody got these hats if they pre-ordered Halo 4. But all of us that went to Melbourne to the conference, we got to write down our gamer tag and they gave them to us later on in the day and custom-made hat with your gamer tag in the side.
That is very
so
cool.
a bit of a collector's
very cool. Do you ever wear it out and about?
I've never worn it, no.
No. Would you not be proud to walk around with your gamer tag on the side of your head?
That's probably just the design of the hat because it's like a cheap Chinese thing and it's not that nice. I mean, it's not something like this, or it's not a Newcastle Knights hat. I had a quickly go over my hats: Chicago Bulls, Newcastle Knights. There's a few other sports ones as well, and now this one. So few hats, but mainly sports related. My hats were growing up.
Well, it's a cool novelty, and it's definitely something worth showing off in man-child show and tell.
Yeah, man-child show and tell. What's your first item?
So mine is none of this is Sony, actually. Funny enough, I just think that they're really cool little gaming things. So some might know that a few years ago, I actually lived and worked in Japan, and that's where my game collecting kind of started to explode. Because the Japanese really do take good care of their games, and they're in really, really good condition and not too expensive a lot of the time. But I found in one of the shops over there this game. Now, I don't know how much this means to you, sir, but this game is called Doki Doki Panic. Now, have you ever heard of this?
You showed me that. So it's actually Mario.
It is, yeah. So it's Mario Brothers 2. So what we got in the West was actually a reskinned version of this game, which was originally made for like a Japanese summer festival for Fuji Television, I think it was. And they basically just took the characters out of that, put Mario characters in it instead, and released it in the West because the real Mario Brothers 2 was just too difficult.
Way too hard. I did play that, and it was so hard.
It was really hard. Yeah.
So hard.
So when I found that, I was super excited. No one else is going to care, but I like it. That this is a little bit of history there. This is the original version of Super Mario Brothers 2.
Awesome. Somebody wants to join us.
You want to come say hello? Hey, Garfield. How you doing, bud?
Say hello.
He's been a bit poorly recently, hasn't he? He's been a little bit sick.
He's a little bit sick, getting a bit old,
Yeah. What games do you play, Garfield? What's in your collection?
Garfield kart racing.
Ooh, yeah. Sorry, mate. You need to star in better games.
He just watches Dad play.
Yeah. Well, while you're babysitting the cat, I'll throw in another one then.
Okay.
Yeah. So the other one is a 2-for-1, which again is not really Sony, but I suppose it's kind of linked in a way to the history of Sony. I have 2 games here for the Philips CDI.
Wow.
And some of you might be confused because that looks like Zelda on the front. And you've probably never played them. We've got the Wand of Gamelon and the Faces of Evil. And do you want to tell the story about how they came along?
I don't remember. You're going to have to refresh my memory.
Oh, okay. All right, sure. So the basics of it were in the 90s, Nintendo had hired Sony to actually make a CD peripheral for the Super Nintendo. And they actually had created the Nintendo PlayStation, which recently sold for auction for crazy money, absolutely crazy money. And I might get some of my details wrong. It was either E3 or like one of those big conferences or GDC where Sony came out and went, "Hey, we're working with Nintendo. Here's our new CD drive." And the very next day, Nintendo came out and went, "Actually, we're working with Philips, and they're going to make the CDI for us." And Philips had the licensing rights to make some Nintendo games for the CDI.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, so they made 3 Zelda games, and I've only got 2 of them because the third one is a little bit pricey to be sure. I think it's called Zelda's Adventure. And the other one that they made was Hotel Mario, which is pretty bad. I do have that one as well, just because it's a bit of a novelty. And so I guess that is actually where it all started. Nintendo shafting Sony for Philips. Sony kind of went, all right then, we're going to use this. And they released the Sony PlayStation instead. And Nintendo were left with some really crappy games on a console that didn't sell very well.
Yeah. We all know the history.
Yeah, there you go. It's quite interesting, actually. I had no idea these existed until my wife and I got together. Because I was telling her that obviously I was into games, and she's like, "Oh yeah, we had the console. We had this Philips CDI. We used to play this like Zelda game on it." And I was like, "No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You're misremembering that. There was no Zelda game on the Philips CDI." And she's like, "No, there really is. There really is." And so we went up into her attic and we found this box and we pulled it out, and sure enough, they had this Philips CDI with this version of the game on it, and it blew my mind, and it's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah. Look up the cutscenes if you ever want something to do, and you'll have. Well, if you've run out of YouTube to watch that. Yeah. There you go.
Wow, that's crazy.
There you go. What's your final one then, Nick? What you got for us? What's your show and tell?
I'll swap the cat for it. Panasonic Q.
Ooh, damn. Who did you kill and rob to get that?
No one. Well, no one.
No one? Honest?
Anyway.
No.
It was from Japan, obviously. As you can see, I got the box as well.
I see a GameCube controller on that. So what is it?
It is a hybrid. So it was released by Panasonic in Japan only, officially through Nintendo. Nintendo licensed it. So it is a DVD.
Panasonic on there. That's crazy. Yeah.
It has Panasonic written on it. SHTGC10. So it's basically a high-end tech device, DVD player with full digital surround sound, optical out, all that kind of jazz. The front face is mirrored. The controller ports for the GameCube, so there's a GameCube built into it. Controller ports, they light up. They go a bit blue light going on, and blue LEDs. I actually still have my component cable for my GameCube. They fetch about $450 now on eBay.
Ooh. How about the whole thing?
So this system itself, you're looking at a couple of grand, maybe $3.
Yeah.
Even come with a remote. A little
Wow.
English sticker to put over the Japanese sticker. So yeah, come with a remote. Obviously, you need a step-down converter. The power wattage doesn't work here, but I used to use it. I used to play my GameCube games on it all the time. Use your action replay to play all the American games and stuff like that. But yeah, cool. It's just one of those rare, very rare items you can collect. Pick them up broken online for about $600-700 broken. So yeah, they're pretty pricey. And I've actually had the DVD drive on it break, the band, and it broke, and it worked like the old VHS players with an elastic rubber band that ejected it.
Yeah.
And my ex-girlfriend with her little fingers were able to get in there and put a new band around the drive to make it eject again. So yeah,
how cool.
But we worked together, and there is now there's tutorials online now how to take them apart, and if you should check it out because it is just one motherboard. It's so much jam packed into this little cube. It's ribbon cables galore, so hard to take apart. And yeah, it didn't do anything. No, they didn't make many of them. It wasn't like it was a thing to make money. It was just a high-end tech item in Japan at the time. Yeah, my pride and joy.
Oh, I don't blame you, man. So do you sort of stroke it every night? You know, it's like, oh, you're my baby. I love you.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're in my life.
The missus sleeps on the floor and it's in the bed next to me.
There you go. Not bad then, man. I really like that. All right. Well, I guess that's it for this issue of Man-Child Show and Tell. How about you guys? What else in your collection? What do you have that is your pride and joy you'd never get rid of? You know, share it in the comments below and let us know.
Like and subscribe and take care, everyone. We'll catch up with you next week.
Take care. Bye.